So Bangin' on Wax was supposed to be a truce album. I don't know how they wanted it to be a truce album with us dissing. But it's supposed to be like a come together, kumbaya type of thing. But that's not what it turned into. It just, they let us diss, you know what I'm saying, and say certain shit we shouldn't have said. And it just took off and went where it went, you know.
Back into my neighborhood, stop at Big Time, get a bag of chips and $1 wine. Roll down Greenleaf, make a left on Caress. Fire up the endo, can't mess with the stress. Damn, man. Damn, this took me back, dog. This took me back.
Tweety really looked out for me, because my whole thing was I had just started being a producer, because Battle Cat was like the super producer at that time. He was like one of the dopest unfounded producers in LA. And I was under him as tutelage on production. So Tweety told me that I need you to do a record. So I ended up making a record. I put Diamond in the Back, Sunroof Top. I mixed that with Cypress Hill, and I came up with Steady Dippin'. So when I made Steady Dippin', it was so melodic. And then we had my boy Jay Stank, rest in peace. He got on there and he put some bass guitar elements and lead on there, where it made it real. It was like soulful, but it was still hood. Man, when we did that record, it touched everybody.
One of the standout artists on this album was Genuine Draft. Now, me being from Long Beach, I off top noticed he was repping Long Beach, and I was digging it. But little did I know that later on, Genuine Draft would become Domino. And Domino had a big career in hip-hop. He had a few hits. You guys remember Ghetto Jam? The Ghetto Jam is about to slam with some help from the Diggity D. As I see what's really going on, can you reminisce with me? We
got Tweety Bird signed to Outburst, and Outburst signed did a deal with Def Jam. So Domino became the first West Coast artist to sign with Def Jam.
Oh, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, he signed with Def Jam, and Russell approved the deal.
Here we go, as the food starts to do is a fat tracks for the DE. That was the joint. He also had Sweet Potato Pie. I'm so high, gotta get a piece of your sweet potato pie. So he was a Long Beach native. So off top, I was like, oh, I was rooting for him, man. And Domino was, no disrespect to Nate Dogg whatsoever, and RIP to Nate Dogg, man. The GOAT, dog. The GOAT. I'm gonna say it forever. The GOAT. When it comes to hooks, the GOAT, the greatest. But Domino, in my opinion, was Nate Dogg before Nate Dogg. Domino, in my opinion, was doing that melodic. And Long Beach is like that. I'm from Long Beach. Long Beach is a very chill city. We don't get too turned up, you know what I mean? Like, unless you try to turn us up. If you want to wind us up a little bit, trust me, we can wind the fuck up, you know? But for the most part, we're a beach city, so we just like to chill by the beach, smoke and barbecue and not mess with nobody. We got blacks, Asians, Samoans, whites, Mexicans. You know, like, we're pretty chill on Long Beach. So that has always came out in the music. And Domino, Nate Dogg, you can off top, you can hear him. Me, a lot of people, you know, we're just mellow, we're chill. We got a vibe to us. And Domino was one of the first who brought that Long Beach vibe. And he was introduced on Bangin' on Wax, but he went by Genuine Draft. Really, really dope. Shout out to Domino. And I hope he gets paid off those great songs that he made, man. Because Domino was a vibe back in the day, man. I'm gonna have to dig into some Domino, man. But Long Beach was representing on that album.
I want to say this too. There was an artist there. A lot of people may not know. A lot of people may know. But there was a cat that came to see Leon, and he had a CD in his hand. I was like, "How you doing, brother?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm about to go take this meeting with Leon." cause I'm trying to get on. He said, I rap and sing. And I'm like, for real? And I said, let me hear something. And I said, what's your name? And he said, oh, my name is Domino. I'm from Long Beach. And I said, that's dope. And then I'm telling you, when he rapped and sang, I was like, this dude is like the dopest dude I ever heard in my life.
Wow.
Like before Drake, I'm talking about this dude was like, his singing and rapping was phenomenal. I took Domino downstairs to Battle Cat, and Battle Cat was, working on his beats and stuff. And a lot of people don't know if Battle Cat in beat mode, you do not disturb Battle Cat when he in beat mode. I was like, I ain't trying to hear what Cat talking about. I'm like, look, you need to hear this dude. He like, look, all right. And I was like, no, you need to hear this dude. And he wouldn't listen. So I stopped the drum machine, and Cat jumped up like he was finna fight me. And I said, nah, you ain't gonna fight me, bro, because
You're gonna thank me.
you're gonna thank me in a second. And I told Domino to rap. Everybody in the building lost their mind. It was like, man, can you please be on this Bangin' on Wax project? So we sat down and we wanted to ponder a little bit on the name for him, because we said, we don't want to call you Domino. You need a dope name. You need something dope. And I asked him where he was from. He said, I'm from Long Beach 20 Crip. And I represent, Long Beach 20 Crip. And I said, so we was trying to figure it out, and Tweety was sitting there, and then because Tweety always had great ideas, and Domino had bought some Miller genuine draft beers, and he was drinking, and then Tweety was looking, and he was like, man, he said, you like them Millers, huh? And he said, yeah, man. He said, I love these genuine drafts.
And shout out to the female rapper. Long Beach was representing on this album. Shout out to the female rapper C Note, one of my first crushes. When she popped up on the screen, on the TV screen, I was like, damn, girl, what is cracking? I was like 13. I wouldn't even know what to do with her at that time. But I'm just saying, like, she was one of my first crushes. But it was just dope to hear her representing Long Beach. Long Beach was representing on this album.
If you pull the trigger of a gun, sometimes it feels like, power. It may be a power thing. It may be just hype. You get hyped up off of being in a gang. You really don't know what you're getting into. And once you get into it, it's too late to get out.
Shout out to C Note, also known as Danny Girl. She was dope, man. I wish she would have made more music. In hindsight, I really thought someone would have picked her up. Some label would have picked C Note up, because she had everything, at least to a 14-year-old me, 13-year-old me. Even looking back, watching the video, she was pretty. She had lyrics. She could spit. So I would love to interview her. One day I will. One day the universe is going to bring me and C Note together, and I'm going to get to know the story of C Note, because I'm sure people were approaching her to sign. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I would think the Death Rows of the world would have been all over someone like C Note. But who knows? I mean, maybe she didn't want to be in the game. And what a song to come out to and be your first song. It blew up right away. And I would say she has the most memorable part. I don't know. The song all around, Steady Dippin', is great. So I don't know if she had the best part, but she did. She had one of the best parts. But I mean, everything from the opening to the ending with Domino on it was dope. To Sin Loke, they call me Sin Loke. Yes, the G that ain't no joke. The mystery unmasked. When I saw that Freddy Krueger, I was like, damn, that's kind of cool. But I would love to recite the whole song and kind of decipher the lyrics, but there is so much disrespect in this song to the other side that I ain't even gonna go there. But truthfully, now that I think about it, the first verse, which is Do or Die, also known as A-Love. I got to interview him too. I bet he has a dope story. I got to interview A-Love, man. But yeah, no, now that I think about it, his lyrics weren't dissing anybody. So, okay, so it opens up with Steady Dippin', boom, Steady Dippin'. And then it opens up Back into my neighborhood, stop at Big Time. Now, Big Time was a liquor store, I do believe. Pretty sure Big Time was a liquor store. Back into the neighborhood, stop at Big Time, get a bag of chips and $1 wine. Roll down Greenleaf, make a left on Caress. Fire up the endo, can't fuck with the stress. Hanging out with the niggas. Sitting in my foe with fingers on the trigger. Yeah, there ain't no dissing in here, right? Always ready for some set tripping. That's why I'm dipping and dapping, cripping and dipping. Never catch me slipping. Checking out all the bitches. What up, bitch? Raise up the flow and fuck with the switches. Front and back and pause on these. Rag top foe, sitting on them D's. Damn, I can't believe I still know this shit. What was it? Checking ass for the big booty one. Back into the trick and let her ride shotgun. Roll by the park and check the nigga roll. Straight up Crips and Dominology roll. What up? Checking out all the niggas. Even when one time pulls up. This was this verse was dope. And he didn't diss one time. Kind of just put that together. He didn't diss one time. He said, move on before you can't pass. And AWOL third come back and hurt your ass. That was AWOL, huh? Big AWOL. You ain't gonna change a goddamn thing. The plan is simple because things don't change. Man, that was hard. And what made this really interesting, even looking back, because I was a big hip-hop fan even then, and one of my favorite people was DJ Quick. And I always thought that was interesting, and I wonder what the motive behind that was. Because they scratched in DJ Quick during the hook. The underground is moving things. Hoes and players, they're getting drunken off that bud. I was doing shit they hadn't heard of. That was Just Like Compton, right? I think that was Just Like Compton. And then there was C-Note, who ended up rapping next, and she came in with the sick. She was just dope. But see, I can't even do her verse. I can't do her verse because she just dissed way too much. Dissed way. She was like, even boys in the hood and do a die. Crips is rolling deep in them. All right, see, I can't even go into the second line because she's already dissing. And then we have my boy Sin Loke. They call me Sin Loke. Yes, the G that ain't no joke. The mystery unmasked with the kill. And then I got to stop right there. Shout out to Sin Loke. I interviewed Sin Loke a long time ago. 2018. I can't believe it was that long ago. Still talk to him to this day. Good dude. Interesting story. He was the one who was Freddy Krueger. If you guys remember Freddy Krueger, huh? The one who played Freddy Krueger, ripped off the mask. That he caught my eye right away because of the Freddy Krueger thing. I was 13, 14, so it was just very cool to see Sin Loke do his thing.
My cousin Blue Rag came home. He said, D, we got a dope-ass project. I'm like, what? He's like, man, they came up with some shit. I'm like, what? He was like, Bloods and Crips banging on wax. Red Rum, I heard Red Rum was a part of that conversation when it first came out. He was responsible for bringing in the Bloods, bringing in more Bloods. And we were already big crippin' when it was presented to me that night when Blue Rag came home with it. I was like more so like, oh, I'm coming up with my name. I'm putting on this motherfucking Freddy Krueger mask because I ain't wearing no blue rags. I'm gonna wear this Freddy Krueger mask, and my name, I came up with the name Sinlo, straight, intelligent, natural legend of Compton. When the Bloods and Crips all entered the studio, when we started getting a bunch of us in there to actually go cut music, we were showing up. Some of us was bringing guns, you know. Cats was bringing guns. You wasn't sure if it was gonna jump off or not. Yeah. I remember my cousin Blue Rag coming in there with an 8-ball of Old English, drunk as a motherfucker.
Oh shit!
And he said, he looked at the Bloods. He was like, "You can say fuck crab, cause I'm gonna say fuck slob." And everybody started laughing and giggling. He broke the ice. We went to go get some more drink. We went to go get more weed and everything, and understood that we were finna start working on this. After the disperse of that, you started having studio sessions where the Bloods will be in, the Crips will be in. You'll walk in and the Bloods may be in there cutting one of their songs. It was times where if we had confrontation or arguments, before going any farther, I would get us to pray. I'd be like, look, hold on, y'all, let's do this. I get us all to pray. Once I finish the prayer, we pick our heads up, we all feel the energy.
Shout out to Do or Die, C-Note, Sin Loke. Can't forget about Blue Ragg, and definitely Domino. Repping Long Beach to the fullest. And this was the most comparable song to Pyru Love on the other side, meaning they released videos for it. It was about as big at the time as Pyru Love. You would watch the box and it would be Pyru Love banging on Pyru Love, steady dipping, Pyru Love, steady dipping, Pyru Love, steady dipping. Just back to back. You guys remember the box? Everybody from the hood remembers the box. Every city, every hood in the country had a box or a music box or something they call it. And that was where you paid 99 cents to watch a video of your favorite rapper. And at that time, that's where I discovered a lot of early E40 music was on the box. That's where I discovered Bone Thugs and Harmony. Definitely where I discovered and really got into Pyru Love and Steady Dippin'. It's crazy, kids. You don't know how good you have it. How good we have it now, where we can listen to any song at the drop of a hat. Spotify, Pandora, Tidal, whatever you have at the tip of your fingers. Back then, we had to wait for somebody in the city to pay 99 cents to play a video that we like. But you know what? Some about those times, appreciate those times a lot. You appreciated when that video came on because unless you recorded it with a VCR, you never knew when you were going to see it again. But in this case, Pyru Love and Steady Dippin', you knew you'd see it again in 30 minutes because back to back. And looking back, I do believe a lot of that was the record labels doing that. I do believe a lot of record labels got caught paying for their own music on the box, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. But I guess it makes sense if you put it into the advertising budget, huh? Who knows? But what do you guys think about Steady Dippin'? Think it was a good song. I think it gave the Crips a good look. And it definitely set the tone for the blue side on that album. I would love to know your thoughts, though. What do you think about Steady Dippin'? And R.I.P. to Cluso, who produced the song. You guys heard him earlier talking. He produced the beat, and he was heavily involved in the whole project. Shout out to all the people I've had on my show who have been part of Bangin' on Wax and Steady Dippin'. Everybody from Sinloke to Lil Hawk, Lil Leak. Shout out to everybody, man. Definitely a great project. It's a West Coast staple.
Getting Bloods and Crips in the room and they don't know what's going on is hard until you sit down and talk to them like men and they can understand what it's all about. And I think the whole thing was respect. I think if you give respect, they'll give you respect. I mean, I don't look at them as being Bloods or Crips. I look at them as being my brother. And once we understood that, we started a relationship. And once you start a relationship, then you can work together. Then you become business partners. Then you can grow, become producers, actors, whatever. Because there's a lot of talent in the streets and people overlook that. My whole philosophy was to stop the brothers from killing each other. Because right now, there is no way out. Only way out is either give them better jobs, which that's not happening. Nobody's working at Mickey D's nowadays, because these guys make more money than I do in a week just on the street. So my thing was to come up with a record. These guys can make some money and can better their lives. The ones I'm really worried about is the BGs, the baby gangsters. And once they realize, hey man, instead of me picking up my 9 to shoot you, I'd rather pick up an 8-pen and write a diss rhyme. Mm-hmm. You know, that's basically what it's all about.
Thank you for tuning in to DustyVisionTV. Please hit that like button if you have not already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, you just might appreciate this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now. We just passed the 32nd anniversary of the release of BANGlN on Wax. 32 years ago, that album changed the game. For good or for bad. It changed the game. We recently interviewed Mike Frankie, who was an engineer on the project, and he shared his thoughts on the bad side of recording that album, BANGlN on Wax, 32 years ago. So let's discuss it. Here's Mike Frankie, an engineer on the project.
To this day, we still seeing the impact of that record and what it's done, besides the fact of the high incarceration of young black men who were exposed to other black men who had been in the streets, represent gang sets and things of that nature. You know what I mean?
Off top, he says this album is responsible for a huge rate of incarceration amongst black men. Oh, that's right. We got right into it. Right into the big boy talk, the grown-up talk, the stuff that people don't discuss. They only glorify. And nah, man, we get down to the nitty-gritty. And unfortunately, how amazing that album was, how amazing it was to bring together the blue team and the red team, that was amazing in itself. 32 years later, as a man who's pushing 50, I'm going to say that that album probably did more bad than good. We'll discuss more of that. But here's Mike Frankie again talking about the bad side of BANGlN on Wax.
I love the record and I love what we attempted to do, but I carry a burden of guilt for the record as well. Even though I only recorded the record or whatever the case may be, I was still a part of it.
That's deep. He said he carries a burden from even being part of that album. And quote, all he did was engineer the project. He wasn't a rapper on the project. He didn't make any beats. He was what they call a knob turner, and I say that respectfully because that's the way he put it.
I love the record and I love what we attempted to do, but I carry a burden of guilt for the record as well. Even though I only recorded the record or whatever the case may be, I was still a part of it.
So let's talk about BANGlN on Wax before we continue. 1993 was a rough time in Los Angeles for everyone, civilians and gangsters alike, especially for gangsters. It was rough out on those streets, man. But every once in a while, a civilian would catch it. Every once in a while, we would walk down the street and there would be 25 Crips just hanging out on the corner, and you have to maneuver your way through as a kid. Then gang injunctions and things like that came in, and that's a thing of the past. Rarely do you see 50 Crips hanging out, unless it's in an Airbnb or something. Talk to me about the time that the police did you wrong.
Oh, shit, man. I was on that one. Shit, I was coming from work.
How old are what year are we talking? How old were you?
Shit, damn. I probably was like, man, maybe like, because I did time in the military, so it was after that shit, so I probably was like 26, 27.
Okay. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. So what happened on that shit, I was working at this warehouse at Albertsons, as a matter of fact, and I used to work graveyard, like from 4 to 12. So I'm getting off at 12, I'm coming down the street. I got this new Impala, like a blue Impala and shit, tight ass paint on it and shit. So I'm driving, and the police get behind me. I'm about to get on this freeway, right? But the freeway is like from Norwalk. It's a freeway where you're not supposed to get on there and let you carpool. But it's always traffic.
That entrance right there, it fucks me up too. I'm Imperial.
Yeah, right there, right. So I'm getting on. I'm like, damn, I ain't supposed to get on, and the police is behind me. So I'm like, damn, I ain't gonna get on. So I'll try to get over. So the police, he get on me. He like, and then he pull up beside me. He's like, hey, what you stuffing? So I feel like that was some bullshit to say what I'm stuffing. Like, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean, stuffing? You know what I mean? Like, you know, what does that mean? That's what I tell him. He's like, oh, man, pull over. He pulled me over and shit. He ended up being like a police, like shorter than me and shit. So we talking. So he trying to get me out the car, and I'm like, I don't want to get out the car, man. I didn't even have my license that day. That's what fucked me up, I think. But I showed him my ID, put it through the thing, and told him to call the sergeant. And he banged it on the fucking window and shit, acting like he gonna break it. So I gave in. So when I fuck around and get out, he turned me to the side, and he like squeezing my hand, and he got my hands on the fucking on the car, and he kicking my legs like real wide and shit, like trying to make me fall type of shit. So I'm talking shit to him, like I'm like, man, you a bitch, you know, talking shit, all this shit. So he like, fuck you. So he grabbed my arms, and now you know how they got the dash camera. So we walking back to his car, and he tripped me. So when he tripped me, I'm feeling like he trying to make it seem like I'm running. So he tripping me. Well, you know, my hands he squeezing the shit out of my fucking fingers for one. So I'm pulling and shit like, man, what the fuck are you doing? And now he tripping me. So now I feel like it's looking like I'm running. Yeah. So I'm like, damn. So then he calls Mayday. Mayday, Mayday. I'm in Norwalk, so I already know what the fuck's gonna happen. I know they on their way. So
was
I'm
it a
trying
sheriff
to give
or
up.
Like a Downey cop or what? What do you remember?
It was a sheriff. It was a sheriff.
The sheriffs are always right there.
Yeah. It was a sheriff. So I'm like, damn, what the fuck, man? And then he turned me towards him. I'm like, man, what the fuck, man? I said, I got my hands up, try to get my hands up, but he like fucking now. He just on one. He turned me towards him, made it look like I turned towards him. Like so from all the witnesses, they looking like I turned. Like I'm just running and I'm just doing all kind of crazy shit. Then he jump on me and shit and bang my head all the fucking ground, gun to my head. And then some black dude came off the fucking freeway, man. And I'm like, and he was a big ass dude. I think he might have been a police or something, but he wasn't in his uniform or that. And he's like, hey, just be cool, You know, I'm like, damn, this motherfucker about to kill me, dude. That's how I feel. And then when all the other police came, you know what they did? They just followed right in suit. You know, jump on me, all this shit. I'm trying to give up. I'm like, man, I'm trying to give up, man. They won't even let me give up type of shit. So then I end up going to jail for assault on a police officer. And then they fuck around and they dropped the shit after that.
How long did you have to stay locked up before they ended up dropping it?
Shit, I got out that same night and shit. Because when I realized when you go to like the county, when you getting fingerprint, the ladies that's fingerprinting, they're interviewing you. So whatever you say in that interview is what, you know what I'm saying, is what they going to consider you by. So when I got in there, they like, so you think you can just fight the police? I said, come on, man. You know I wouldn't fight the police, but that's a losing battle. How the fuck I'm going to fight the police? That's a losing battle. I ain't going to do that. And she, I guess he felt that shit. She like, don't worry about it. We're going to get you out of here. You know what I'm saying? But like a lot of times, that little interview, when you go getting fingerprints, that's how they gonna know what they gonna charge you with. Cause they try to act all nice and ask you what's going on. And you say the wrong shit, your ass gonna be locked up. But yeah, I guess they believe me, or maybe that police always do that or whatever. But she was like, nah, don't worry, we're gonna get you out of here. I was standing there for about 4 or 5 hours. They let me go.
Damn.
Yeah, then I wanted to fight it. Like I went to the people who fight like stuff like that for crimes against the police and that shit. We was fighting pretty good, and then that's when the fucking in Inglewood. I don't know if you remember, but in Inglewood, the police had beat up these little kids or something that was on their car, and like they said that the dude had grabbed the police nuts or something.
It sounds back like a familiar story, yeah.
Yeah, and they had found them not guilty at the same time. So shit, I was like, man, they was on camera like beating these dudes up. So what the fuck I look like fighting? That's how I felt. Like, what I look like fighting this shit? And you know what I mean? They on camera getting beat up for nothing. So shit, I just left that shit alone. Like, fuck it. It is again another day in the neighborhood, I guess.
Ladies and gentlemen from Houston, we got Hoover Ken. What up, Hoover Ken?
What's cracking? What's grooving?
What was your life like growing up? Was mom around, dad around?
Hey man, to be honest and truthful with you, I had my mom around. My dad, my dad was a crackhead, so don't get me wrong. My daddy was there. He was there, but he wasn't fully functioning. But But yeah, all in all, my mom was there. My T-John was there. My T-John, me and my sister, that's all I ever had. We was out there, sure, growing up, we in projects in the hood, Sandpiper, 10 for 100. No, we all over Houston, though, to be exact. But, it just growing up in that slum. My mama, my mom didn't have it all. So, I had to get out there. Me and my sister had to get out there and do what we had to do for the family.
Mm-hmm. Damn, I didn't know that about your pops. Was he ever able to clean up his act?
Oh, yeah, man. Took my man some years to clean up, but he did, though.
That's
he
dope.
did.
Last time you mentioned that you were jumped in at age 12, right?
Yes, sir.
Age 12, man. What a impressionable time for, a young black child in the ghetto. Take me back. Take me back to that day, man. What was Houston like? I mean, was it really, really popping?
At this time, I ain't gonna lie. At this time, everybody want to be blood. Everybody want to be blood around this time. I don't know why I did, but I grew up. I grew up in different hoods, different areas. You can taste. So I done seen it all: blood, Crips, folk, Vice Lords, and all this shit. But growing at that time, I was 12. All my niggas were doing at that time, I ain't gonna lie, was gangbanging, selling dope, smoking sherm. I ain't gonna lie. And jumping fly.
Sherm, that before crack hit LA specifically, I know sherm was the go-to drug. Sherm was pretty big down in Houston also?
Like a motherfucker. What's so crazy, man? My first time, when I got put down, what's so crazy? My first day I got put down, my first time I smoked sherm. That was my first time smoking sherm. My homeboy, after I went my little 52, my homeboy filed a blunt. But the whole time he filed the blunt, I'm watching him dip. I'm watching that man dip the blunt in that bitch. Mm-hmm. And shit, after the shit was, I was young. I didn't know what the fuck it was. So after when everything was all said and done, I told Cuz, let me hit that blunt. I hit that blunt. I didn't know I was smoking PCP though. I didn't know I was smoking that shirt.
Yeah, that smell. Whew. Smell it now.
Terrible smell.
Damn, man. Well, shit. So you got 52 seconds. You said, right? Is that how it works?
I went 52.
Okay. What, a dude's bigger than you, older than you? What?
Whoa, man! All types of niggas. Niggas your age. Niggas bigger than you. Is this a life for the? Is this a life you did? Some people are older. Some people not. Some it ought to be big, small, or tall.
Mm-hmm.
So I got put down. It wasn't nothing but OG niggas around when I got put down. All the OG, they OGs right now. They still. I got put down by all them niggas.
Well, let's even go before then. When was the first time you personally ever heard anything about Crips, Bloods, or any other LA-based gangs?
To be honest with you, I've been around Crips and Blood all my life. And like I said, growing up, I'm gonna tell you the truth. In the beginning, Houston was never just like it was his own Crips and Bloods like that. You dig what I'm saying? Houston is more like we on some player shit. Like we gonna fuck these hoes, get this money, and swing on these foes and shit like that. That's what we was really about, player shit. Like ain't no rah. Don't get me wrong. You bring that rah, we gonna end that shit. But we at the point in time when I was growing up, it wasn't nothing like that. You dig what I'm saying? And at that time, 90s, cripping was the thing to do. So everybody was influenced at that time was cripping. So everything. I was in Acres Home when I first saw a nigga gang. When I first saw Hoover did jump. When I first saw a nigga jump down the Hoover, I was in Acres Home. I tell a lot of people, I ain't gonna say I never was supposed to be a Hoover, but all my niggas that's around me, to tell you the truth, on gang, is a roller. My best friend, a roller 20. Rolling 20 Crip nigga. That's my best friend. Ain't gonna never change it for the world. But he always tell me, bitch, you was supposed to be a 20.
Yeah.
But after that, my homeboy told me I was supposed to be a 20. Actually, I got family members that's folks. So actually, I was supposed to be a folk because I was around my people. I was around my family like that for like a little minute, and they ain't nothing but GDs and BDs.
But talk to me about growing up with the Samoans.
that's what was so particular and beautiful that I loved about my city in Long Beach, because every race has something to bring.
Yeah.
You know, and the Samoans it wasn't Long Beach without Samoans.
Exactly.
You feel me? It ain't Long Beach without the Mexicans. It ain't Long Beach without the white boys out there. It ain't Long Beach without the blacks. That's us. You feel me? And each one of them is a part of us. And yeah, I love the Samoans, man. Gentle giants, just like you said, man. I may be 5'7", but I got my Samoa homies behind me that's 6'2" and 300 plus pounds. When I moved out here to Vegas and I got a job as a building engineer, I worked at the Gold Spike and Casino, and I went in there and I was wearing all my Pittsburgh hat and shit, and I just happened to bump into all the security there are Samoans, you know. And he looked up, he was like, "Man, you wearing that Pittsburgh gear like you from 20s." And I told him, I said, "Well, shit, you wearing that rag on your head like you from SOS." And just so happened that motherfucker was from SOS and I was from 20s. You feel me? And that's life. You know, we grew up, we both grew up on the streets gang banging, but he making money now, taking care of his family, working. I'm doing the same thing. You feel me? We honest, regular motherfuckers out there in society. Ain't no difference between the way I wipe my ass and the way he wipe his. You feel me? The only, you know, but I love to see the journey as men, from kids, adolescents, being taught wrong, you know, learning wrong from right. And that's why I tell people, I don't care about who you was when you young. Who are you today? Did you learn from your mistakes? Because if you ain't learned from your mistakes and you the same person you was when you was young, that's a problem. But see, we all grow up taught a lot of things different. One of my white partners, Casey, told me that I grew up. He said gangs for white people is racist gangs. You know, he was from the high desert in Victorville area. And he said, when we joined the gang, our gangs are skinhead gangs. He said, so we didn't know no better about being taught hate the blacks and all this other shit. He said, but as I grew older, I learned to find out that my own kind can fuck me just as bad as the rest of the motherfuckers. And so I treat everybody accordingly to how they treat me.
That's it.
That's the ascension how people's supposed to be. I don't care you was born and raised a race and every races or whatever. You learn as you grow up that shit ain't cool, and you supposed to change the way you think accordingly. That's how you grow up as a human being and a man. I tell people I work hard at everything I do, you know, and I try and succeed, and I lead by example. I show motherfuckers if my old ass can get out there and do it. People know who I was in the street, and for me, when I used to be like, who's the craziest of the craziest? You know what I mean? And so to see a brother like me from the street gang bang the fuck out, do a 190, but not forget where he came from, but do a 190 and find out who you're supposed to be. Grow up, get your intelligence, your knowledge, take care of your family, then come back and help the people that you grew up with.
That's what it's all about. Full circle like that.
Yeah. That's why you still yelling Long Beach. That's why you still representing Long Beach out there. Yeah. You know, it don't look like it, but that little bit of change that we do is what we supposed to do. It's our function in this damn matrix. You know, do your job.
Yeah. I've been all over the world, been to beautiful cities, beautiful countries, but Long Beach is my favorite city in the whole wide world, man. Nothing like it.
It's the people there, man. I tell people it ain't where you at, but who you with.
Yeah.
And in Long Beach, it's not only is it a beautiful city, but it's the people in there that make that city. And when you get to understand that blend, I tell people, I said, we a suburb of LA, but we not LA. You feel me? It's totally different here. And that's why when I got to the feds and the SA homie sent me that care package to show me this how we used to be in the 80s, that was that real shit.
That's that Long Beach
shit. That real shit. That's that Long Beach shit. You know, I meet so many people from different walks of life. I tell people I probably met 1 billion people in my fucking lifetime. You know what I mean? And in meeting these billion people, I take a little bit from each one. And so the person who I am today is a simulation of all the billion people who I met. So usually I may be speaking, but like I said, I'm speaking for those billion people. each one of them gave me a piece. Like I said, when I bring shit up that niggas don't want to talk about, but my homeboys, if my little homeboys hit me from South Carolina and from Mississippi and say, you need to be talking about this, you damn right I need to be talking about this, because it's time to bring this out. And the platform to bring it out is Dusty Vision, because he gonna let you get up on here and speak about the real stuff. You feel me? And only in bringing the real out can you find the real way to fix this. You feel me? It's like with all this violence going on in the society. You know, if we come together, we'll fix whatever problems we have. The only problems we have is because they have us all fighting with each other, you know? But when we come together, it's just like why they dislike people who bring the people at employments together. We got to get rid of them, because now you have all the employees together. They can ask for a raise. They can strike. We don't need that shit. You feel me? So they've been having us all fighting with each other, so we can't be in union together. And, you know, and it's time to end that. The moment we end that, we end our problems. Because we'll get the things that we want changed, and we can go back to our regular routine again.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the line, I have Dustin. What's up, man?
Oh, how's it going, man?
It's going great, going great. Thank you so much for joining the program, man. So what caught my eye when I saw your post was some old flyers and old pictures of a crew that I vaguely remember. I remember the name, and it was 8 Ball Posse. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But 8 Ball Posse started out as a hip hop crew, a breaking crew, a wild style crew. They turned into what was known as 8 Ball Posse. They threw parties all around the city and surrounding cities. So I definitely want to talk about that the majority of the time. But let's go all the way back, man. Let's take it back. Were you born in Southern California?
Yeah, I was born in Bellflower and raised in Norwalk.
Kaiser,
so
I'm assuming, right?
I was born in Bellwood General.
Gotcha.
A little ass hospital.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, but raised in Norwalk. But, you know, and then I left Norwalk at 18.
Okay. So Norwalk in the 80s was probably a very interesting place. I'm more of a 90s kid. So I'm not too familiar about the 80s in Norwalk, but can you just talk to us about what it was like growing up in Norwalk around that time, 70s and 80s?
Yeah, no doubt. I was born in 71, so I caught like some of the old school gangbanging shit, but you know, in the 80s, that's when gangbanging really got popular. But also, you know, breaking too. But they kind of were, you know, in Norwalk, you know, there's a lot of gang neighbors there. You know, not as many as most cities in LA, but they got a handful, you know, that are serious and shit. And I mean, growing up in a gang neighborhood, it's a little sketchy. You know, I grew up in a neighborhood, but yeah, I was always enthralled by New York City breaking, and some of the other dudes I knew were into it too. And probably around 13, me and some dudes, and I'm not even sure how this actually started, just probably guys in elementary school and then eventually high school. We used to all break, and all different races too, you know, Mexicans, blacks, half-breeds, whites, I mean, you name it, you know what I mean? We pretty much were accepting of everybody, but that's kind of the way breaking was back then, which was a little bit different because, you know, Norwalk is, well, especially at that time, was predominantly Mexican or Chicano, and then, you know, Mexicans from Mexico, and then whites, and blacks were probably the last there, and Asians too, but yeah, we used to go all over the city on the Norwalk Transit bus, on beach cruisers, you know, we practiced 2 times a week. We got the name Wild Style Crew, and probably, you know, 5 or 6 of the members from that went into 8 Ball Posse. But 8 Ball Posse started at Norwalk High School. Mostly, you know, guys that loved hip hop, and all the parties back then were high energy disco type parties. You know what I mean? Post disco, but there's a kind of disco in the 80s with high hair and, you know, high energy, and those were the backyard parties back then. And all of us, we wanted to throw hip hop parties. So, you know, that's where we started. But, you know, breaking definitely was, you know, for probably 3 years of my life, you know, probably 12 to 15. That's pretty much all I did. You know, we practiced, you know, 2-3 times a week. We, all over the city. It was a lifestyle, you know. And then also what was cool about that era is that little period of time right there, a lot of guys didn't gangbang, you know, like, it's not like they weren't in gangs, but it seemed like that period of time, guys kind of calmed down. You know, they were, a lot of cholos were poppers, and, You know, some dudes were into breaking, and like the racial barriers were a little cool at the time. You know what I mean? And as you know, living in LA, Mexican gangs are not cool with outsiders, really. You know what I mean? Like whether it's blacks or Mexicans from Mexico or El Salvador, whoever it is, unless you're in their gang. You know, because every cholo gang has a black guy, has a white guy. You know what I mean? They all have their representative of predominantly Chicano, but we always wanted to have everybody. You know, that was pretty much, even 8 Ball Posse was the same way, and it became a problem later. You know, because everybody knows once you, especially if you're doing any dirt or anything, you go to jail, you're gonna have to deal with all the cliques in there and whatever, the politics and shit. So we all kind of knew that if we ever got locked up or whatever, we can't really, if you're black, I can't talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a half breed. I'm half Mexican, half white. So then you got to even pick there too. What are you gonna, but I always pretty much grew up Mexican, so I would roll that way. But breaking, man, was a huge influence on me. First New York, but LA, and New York, it had already died out, and LA probably had a good 3-year run after that. And it was everywhere, man. I remember like the movie Breaking coming out, and that represents LA. But I do remember loving Beat Street and then seeing Breaking and being like, this is a bad representative of LA.
A little corny.
It's kind of corny. Other than Boogaloo Shrimp, I loved the Boogaloo Shrimp. I loved, I think, Little Pepe, one of the little Mexican kids in there.
He was hard.
And
I
remember
he went by Hot Tot.
Yeah, there's some of those dudes would show up in Norwalk sometimes, every once in a while. I mean, I used to go to Skate Depot. I don't know if you ever remember Skate Depot and Cerritos. Yeah. So they would have a breaking night every Wednesday. They would clear out no skating, and it was just I don't know what DJs would be there, because I was a kid. I would get dropped off there, and those guys there were so good. Like there were some legends there, man. Little Pepe, White Boy Roy, Little Victor. There was dudes that I would just go watch. You know what I mean? And like steal moves. You know what I mean? Really, just like see what these guys are doing and be like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like and I would take it back to my guys, and we'd all try it. You know what I mean? And everybody kind of had a move that they would do, and some guys were better than others and shit. And it was a fucking lifestyle for real. It was a great era.
Man, it sounds like a blast, homie.
It was fun, bro.
Where were you guys consuming your hip hop from? In the early mid '80s. It's not like today when we can go on Spotify and listen to any song we want. Not even like the '90s. There was not too many mix shows out there. Like, where were you guys consuming your hip hop from mainly?
KDAY. Like, so K-Day, which was on
Greg Mack.
On AM, Greg Mack, Bobby Jimmy, so a lot of K-Day. When K-Day first came out, everybody's listening to that. At night on K-Day, they would play some shit called Uncle Jam's Army, live from Casa Camino Real.
Of course, man.
Which I didn't even know where Casa Camino Real was, you know what I mean? But we would hear that. That would come on every, like, fucking Saturday night. We tape it, listen to it, you know what I mean? Also, back then, too, everybody was just videotaping anything they could find. Any kind of breaking. If I'd see breaking on Soul Train, like New York City Breakers on Soul Train, somebody would tape it, and then we'd all just sit around and watch it and shit. You know what I mean? Anything, literally, like the fucking, I think it was a Lionel Richie video had some breaking in it all night long. There was a Robert Plant video that had breaking in it. People, anything you could find, we were fucking into it. But mostly we're listening to New York hip hop back then. BDP or the first breaking music was probably like Planet Rock. White Lines, shit like The Message, all that early shit. When Run DMC's album came out, Rock the Bells, that shit, Beastie Boys, when it first came out. I mean, but a lot of it was New York at first, you know what I mean? And then the LA underground stuff was probably like Uncle Jam's Army, that was probably like super big. Toddy T, I don't know if those are breaking, probably breaking groups, but
Batarang.
I mean, the Batarang. I mean, I still listen to all that hip hop shit. Like, I mean, all the old shit. Like, all the shit that was on like fucking albums. Like, because also I used to go to Norwalk Records a lot. And pick up albums. Even though I have a lot of money, but anything that had to do with African Bambaataa, I was a big fan of. That's big time breaking music. Renegades of Funk. Like I say, Planet Rock, Looking for the Perfect Beat, all that shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the line, I have the homie Louie. What up, man?
Hey, what's up with it, Dusty? How you doing, man? Congratulations on that for almost 40K, man.
Looking
going up and up, baby. That's what's up, man. That's definitely what's up.
Thank you, homeboy. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate it, man. Looking forward to talking to you, man. Definitely was digging your flow and digging your vibe and everything last time we got a chance to hang out. Shout out to the homeboy Rob G. Shout out to Moto. Shout out to Smokey. It was a nice session we had the other day. But let's go all the way back, bro. I want to get to know you. Let our audience get to know you, and then we'll jump into some music and stuff like that. But tell everybody where you grew up.
I was born and raised in the city of Southgate, man. Well, that's what I was told, right off of Illinois in Alameda. If anybody's familiar with that, yeah, I was saying that was actually my first spot where I actually landed. And I've been up and down, man. From elementary, I went to Stafford Elementary, went to middle school, Southgate Middle School, ended up in Southgate High School, and then I jumped back and forth during high school, man, from Southgate High to Jordan High, right there up 103rd in Alameda. And I ended up at Odyssey, a continuation school, which I didn't finish, man. But most definitely the last stop before I actually rolled out for Southgate, man, was St. Louis and Armour. Shout out to them cats out there for Firestone on St. Louis, man. Sure.
Yeah. I used to buy all of my tapes at the swap meet on Imperial and Garfield. That's where I got a lot of my hip hop knowledge from. Shout out to Kim. I don't know if he's still around, still alive, but he was the dude that hooked us up with a lot of tapes back in the day, man. Yeah. So Southgate, man. Let's talk a little bit about Southgate back in the day. Give me the good, the bad, and the ugly about growing up in Southgate.
Well, back in 96, 97, man, I was transitioning from elementary to junior high, man, and I'm assuming just like everybody or whatnot, man, that was trying to be down and whatnot. I was trying to be down myself, man. I was trying to be a part of it and whatnot, man. And I remember we were in school and we had tracks, different type of tracks, the A track, B track, and C track, right? And I remember, man, like we started like banging on each other, different tracks and shit. A track would beef it with B track, and B track would beef it with C track and stuff like that. And it was like the beginning stages of me, like I said, of me trying to be down, wanting to be down and whatnot, man, wanting to be a part of. And it wasn't until I moved into rolled out to middle school, man, that shit got a little serious, you know. So I was hanging around with certain crews and whatnot. You know, I started like writing on the walls and shit. Eventually, I got jumped into a crew at that particular moment of time, and all of a sudden, man, it just happened out of nowhere, man. Like all of these guys that were claiming the same crew, like they started getting into hoods, right? And I started to see like it was starting to really get deep, man, and really get thick. Me personally, at that time, man, I started picking up smoking weed at that particular moment. So instead of me going full blast with that gangbanging, man, like I just started to become like a bus smoker and whatnot. Ended up kicking it with a couple of cats, and we would smoke. We'd just be like the bus smokers basically for school. We didn't really. I didn't really get into the heavy duty with the gangbanging, but I was always associated, man. Always affiliated or whatnot. Knew people from different hoods all over Southgate, man, and at that particular time, you know, just kept it neutral, and that's where I guess like the music and hip hop started coming in for me. Like I wanted to be a rapper and whatnot, man.
Yeah. Well, let's take it slow, man, because I know, you know, everyone has a story now, and you said something that caught my ear because I myself, for years in my early teens, was a tagger / graffiti artist, and I stopped when the crew started adding 13 to the end of the, you know what I'm saying, to the end of their set and everything. And it became tag banging. And next thing I know, people are carrying pistols and all that. And I got into it for the art. So that's when I exited the game. So I have no stories of being a tag banger because as soon as I heard about that shit and that shit started popping like that, I was out. You know, I just started writing on the papers and shit and just doing my own thing. But, you know, the tagging back in the day was a scene all in itself, dog. Take me back to your writing days.
Oh man, I got to be real with you. That shit wasn't even like so much like a career of it, but I just love the rush of hitting up the wall, man. Yeah. You know, going to the hall and whatnot, man. Hitting up the lockers or hitting up the hallways and whatnot, man. It was a rush at school. Let alone hitting up with the spray can. You know, hitting on Alameda right there between 103rd and between Tweedy and Southern, man. If anybody knows, that was before at that time, man. Before the tracks were like underground and whatnot, it was just like there was no wall right there and whatnot. But on the other side of Alameda, man, all these little like dead end streets and whatnot. We used to catch spots up there, if not up and down Long Beach Boulevard. You know, that was always a rush. And for me, man, what I liked about as far as tagging it was the rush, man. It was something about the spray can, man. Just just shaking it up and just putting up the mark, man. And at that time, I was writing Bizzy, Bizzy, man. And that was in honor of course, one of my favorite Bone Thugs and Harmony artists, man, Bizzy Bone, man. And that's how I took upon that name. But again, man, it was just the rush, man. It was just the rush of catching a spot and whatnot. And then on top of that, like even getting slashed, like I was like, oh, what the fuck? Who do that shit and catch somebody else and going back and forth with it, man. But like I said, man, when that shit started like getting more serious, that's when I kind of like took a step back from that, man. Like they didn't really wanted to get down like that and whatnot, man. I just love to write, man. Up to this day, like every once in a while, like just for the like I'm in Venice Beach and whatnot, man. It's been a while that I'm in it. I haven't done it, man, but you know, it's something about getting the can, man, and just doing something on the wall, man, and just writing my name. Like it just feels good, man. Yeah. It's like therapeutic, you know.
It was, and our generation, me and you we're kind of close in age, not too far off, but our generation is the reason why they put all the spray cans now behind fences and shit, and you can't get, because we would literally rush the paint shop or rush Home Depot or whatever, and just like as a group of 6, just boom, grab a bunch of cans, grab a bunch of Krylon, grab a bunch of those pens, those pilot, I think they were called pilots or something, I forgot, dude. It's been a long time, homie. But right, we're the reason why they did that, right?
That's for sure, man. I remember getting out of school early, man, on Tuesdays at middle school. Back in 87, 88, man, we used to get out early Tuesdays, and we used to go racking right there. They used to be called Save-Ons, right there on Tweety, man, and I believe it was San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken, where Udi's Records was at. And we used to go racking right there, man, for whatever markers that we ever could get or whatever. The next day we would come through, man, and just hit up the whole school, whatever we can, man. Yeah, hit up the books too and shit, whatever we had, you know.
Yeah,
it'd be fun, man.
Good times, bro. Good times.
Yeah.
Who were you listening to at this time when it comes to music wise?
Oh man, hey, look, man. If I could take it real back with you, Dusty. The first time I fell in love with music, man, and I was a little kid. I was about 3 or 4 years old, man. And I remember listening to fucking George Clinton, man.
Okay.
Somebody was bumping that shit next door, and that shit scared the fuck out of me, bro. The freak of the week type shit. Like, oh my God, it was just all these sounds, man, and all these shit. And I remember like going into the closet because I was like, fuck, there's some monsters outside. You know, it was just banging, bro. And with that, man, like I fell in love with just the sounds, man. You know, just hearing different sounds and whatnot. Grew up. I remember listening to the Chronic, man, back in 92, 91, 92, if I'm not mistaken, man. I remember seeing the CD. It was I thought it was like a fucking tree, bro. I didn't even know what bud was at that time. You know, so when I looked at this shit, I was like, what the fuck is this tree leaf on this fucking CD? It was my uncle's CD, and I put that shit on, and I remember playing that shit, man. I think it was a Let Me Ride, Biatch, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh shit, what the fuck? Who said a bad word? And I fell in love with it, man. Obviously the next coming year with Snoop Dogg, the Dogg Pound at the time was all like West Coast stuff, like Warren G, you know what I'm saying? All of that. I didn't really get into much of East Coast, man, until I hit like the 7th and 8th grade, man. That was about 97, 98 and whatnot. And I remember, I don't know if you recall, man, a movie Belly. Belly came out, man.
One of my favorites to this day.
Shit, brother, hell yeah. Man, that was with the whole New Yorker shit, just like kind of like swept. At least for me, kind of swept me up. I can't speak for everybody around here, but I like the flavor, man. I like the style. I like what they was doing, man. And DMX and Nas was one of my favorite rappers at that particular time from the East Coast, man. So you know, obviously Wu-Tang, you know, was in the mix and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And man, it was just lovely, bro. It was just something new for me, man. Besides the West Coast shit, you know.